Jordan Davis back at practice.
Yeah.
Start with the headline.
Some good news. Really encouraging stuff. And the Eagles are starting to get some guys back, and over the next few weeks should be close to full strength.
Yeah, that will be nice. We'll see. Obviously, other injuries can and probably will happen. That's the nature of the sport. But we'll see what happens here. It's exciting, though, to get a big piece back.
Very big piece.
Yeah, you're right. Both figuratively and literally. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Bunch to get to today. We're going to talk about some matchups in this upcoming game against Tennessee. A tough matchup against a really good football team, and we'll break that all down. Like I mentioned, injury updates. We want to talk about A.J. Brown facing his former team. He's had a really weird stretch of games the last month or so, so we'll kind of talk about him a little bit. And then we'll look at Jalen Hurts' MVP case and whether or not we think he has a legitimate shot to win this thing. But let's start with the injuries. We mentioned Jordan Davis. Dallas Goedert spoke to us on Wednesday. We'll go through that a little bit. But Jordan Davis, gut feeling, is he going to play this week?
I think he will. I think it'll be limited. Ever since I saw him jogging down a concourse after the Packers game ended, and I mean, he looked pretty spry. I talked to him briefly on Wednesday. He said it's just a matter of not going to rust off. He hasn't played in a month, but I think he'll have a role. I mean, they're in a position with the two new guys. They have some depth. They don't have to rush him back. They don't have to give him 30 snaps, but I think he will have a role.
Yeah, and this will be a good week to get him back.
Could use him
against Tennessee because – and I am kind of curious to see how that rotation works out.
Yeah. Because
you're right. In the beginning, they're probably going to have him, maybe not a pitch count, but you don't want him to play a ton of snaps right away after missing a month. And look, Linval Joseph has played pretty well in the 2 games he's been here. So I think that they can kind of split snaps. They're probably going to play a lot of nose tackles or at least a lot of nose tackle reps on Sunday. So it would really help to have both of those guys up because they don't really have anyone else that they use in that role.
Right. And I mean, even if he can just give you 15 snaps,
that would help.
It would help a lot. Yeah.
Because Linval, like we saw it, I mean, gosh, he played 36 snaps, 63%, I think it was last week. Probably a lot more than he ever anticipated playing.
10 days after he was sitting on the couch.
Yeah, it's a lot. And his body right now is still pretty fresh. In a few weeks, they're going to need to figure out this rotation because, in a few weeks, he's not going to have fresh legs. He's going to be a 34-year-old guy who's played 4 games. He's going to be like, oh, wow, my body feels a lot different. And then it'll really help to have Jordan Davis back.
Yeah, and I would think by next week, I would think he'd be close to 100% and full go. I just think – and this training staff and this coaching staff, they always tend to err on the side of caution and bring guys along slowly. I think they –
I'm sorry. I was thinking, is it or air?
I've always said err.
I always said air. Who's right?
It
doesn't matter.
I don't know. Well, I'm going to look it up as soon as I have the opportunity, maybe while you're doing a read. But – yeah, I think that they've always been really good about usually if a guy's on IR for like 6 or 7 weeks, 8 weeks or whatever, they bring him back. He practices for a week and doesn't play and then plays the next week. With the 4-week layoff, I think there's a chance that these guys will get right. I mean, look, this stretch run is really important. The Cowboys and Vikings are breathing down their throats and breathing down their necks. They're erring, they're airing.
I feel like you're really close on all these.
Yeah, so they could use Jordan Davis.
They could. We'll see if he plays. I think he will play. I do. It's early in the week still, but I feel pretty good about him playing. And I'm very curious to see what it looks like between him and Linval. Linval can play.
Yes, he can.
You know what I mean? And then I wonder if we'll ever see one of those guys at a different position. Because, they were, I finally, right before he got hurt, Jordan Davis was in the 4-man front for the first time all season, and then he got hurt, so we never got to see if that was going to expand. Now you have 2 nose tackles. If they're both playing really well at some point, and there's maybe not in this game. This game, you're probably going to need all those snaps at nose tackle for both of them. But if you're playing a team that you don't need all those snaps. I wonder if one of them could play either in the 5-man at one of the other D tackle positions or in the 4-man.
Be interesting to see.
Play a 1 tech, yeah.
It's going to be really interesting to see how this whole position evolves. And I mean, they're all free agents other than Milton and Jordan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the interior of the D line. I mean, the whole D line is basically free agents, other than I guess Sweat's back, Barnett's back, and Milton and Jordan.
Patrick Johnson.
Thank you, Dave. But the whole thing's going to look so different. But yeah, for now. I'm real curious to see how Tracy Rocker deploys everybody and how it looks on Sunday with Mr. Henry coming to town. Yeah,
there was a noteworthy moment as Jonathan Gannon left his press conference and he just yelled, "King Henry."
Yeah, he's on his mind, no doubt.
Yeah. The other injury update, talked to Dallas Goedert on Wednesday. We hadn't seen him in a little while. The last time we saw him, he was wearing a sling around his shoulder. Or holding up his arm. Interesting. He feels pretty confident he'll be back after the 4 weeks. He's missed 2 games. He has 2 more games to miss. The earliest he can return is against Chicago on December 18th. No, there's no overstating how important he is to this offense. So that will be a very welcome sign. Early yet, though. I mean, he has, and the way he explained the injury, it's and I had to really put on my my research cap online for this one, but he has a glenoid fracture in his shoulder, and the glenoid is basically, and if I get this wrong, please don't tell me about it. I tried to look it up.
Tell him.
It's basically like it's like the part of the socket that holds the femur.
Okay.
Femur? Femur's in the leg. Oh, the humerus.
Humerus.
Yeah, it holds the bone.
So his shoulder's holding his leg.
It's part of the
Dr. Zangaro.
I said femur, and I was like, that's not right. But it holds the bone in place, basically. It's the cup. It's the,
I don't know.
Part of the shoulder.
Talking about, but I'm just encouraged that he thinks he'll be back. The offense, I mean, they had 500 yards and scored 40 points, so it's hard to say they were clunky, but the offense just hasn't.
The passing offense is different without him. I mean, look, Jack Stoll did a nice job blocking when he needed to block.
Just can't do all the stuff they did with him. Mm-hmm. They just can't do it.
And he just adds a different dimension to the offense. Like, sure, they can run against a defense that wasn't going to stop the run no matter what they did.
Right.
But if they want to, Goddard's just such a special player, and you can pass out of 12 personnel when he's in there. You can leak him out unlike anyone else because he's such a threat both ways. Like he's a better blocker than he's a better blocker than Jack Stoll. He's a better receiver than Grant Calcaterra. So it's like, even if you morph those other 3 guys together, they're still nowhere near the total player Dallas Goedert.
But he's not a better quarterback than Tyree Jackson.
Yeah, that might be true.
Yeah, you're right. If you took the best attributes from those 3, you're still nowhere close to Dallas. He's a special player, and it makes it a lot easier to defend the Eagles passing game. Mm-hmm. So run it for 400 yards every week and you're all set. But yeah, that's good news. You just want to be as close as possible to full strength for the postseason. And, as of now, it looks like everybody, including Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, will be back
at some point. And we'll see about that exactly when that kidney heals up. Kind of a weird injury. Yeah. By the way, the glenoid, the humeral head rests in the shallow socket in the shoulder blade, which is the glenoid.
Why did you just say that?
Well, because I didn't memorize it and I had to look it up again.
The glenoid. I've never heard of the glenoid.
Yeah, he said that, and I went, yeah, the glenoid, Dallas.
Oh yeah, the old glenoid.
Yeah, it's kind of it doesn't come up a ton for us.
No, I've never heard of it.
We've had a kidney and a glenoid in a week.
Yeah, strange injuries.
Weird medical stuff. We were kind of joking the old days. Rick Burkholder, who was here for how many years? 14. Yeah, all Andy Reid years, would really go into depth explaining injuries. We kind of miss that now because sometimes it's tough to get the marriage of medical and football.
Right.
It's like there are medical experts, but they don't always see these injuries in the realm of playing football and what it means to get back on the field. So it was always nice to have someone willing.
Whenever there was a serious injury, Rick would come up with a plastic model of an ankle or a knee or a shoulder, and we knew we were going to he was the best. And it didn't give other teams an advantage. Mm-hmm. Like that we knew what an injury was and we could write clearly about it. But I mean, I guess paranoia is league wide.
Yeah.
But yeah, Rick was a hell of a trainer. And Otho Davis, who was a trainer back in the day, and legendary trainer. They have the Otho Davis Foundation now. Yeah. We could talk to Otho anytime we wanted. If we saw him in the hallway, in the locker room, and he would explain every injury. He'd go down the whole list.
Was Otho his real name?
Otho Davis. Yeah.
Like that. That's the full name.
Yeah, Buddy called him Ofo, OFFO. Hey buddy, how's Clyde Simmons' ankle doing? Daft Ofo, doubt that. Yeah, it was, things were so different back then. He would just explain, well, the cartilage kind of tore away a little bit. It'd probably be 4 weeks, maybe 5. He would just, you would know everything, and it kind of sucks.
He didn't tell you the femur was in the shoulder blade, like I just did. Oh man, people! I'm gonna get so many tweets about that. It's not gonna be good.
It's just a shame that, because all we're doing is trying to get accurate information.
Yeah,
and it doesn't give the Titans or the Giants or the Saints or the Cowboys or the Bears. It doesn't give anybody an advantage to know exactly what's wrong with a player. But that's the mentality. I mean, every NFL coach is paranoid that way, and that's what we get.
I got you off on a little tangent there.
Yeah,
didn't mean to.
Otho was the best, though. I was out jogging at Westchester once when training camp was down there, and it was between practices. There were 2 old-fashioned two-a-days, full live in the morning and in the afternoon, and so we had like 6 hours in between practices, and there was no internet back then, so you couldn't write for the web. It would just kind of do whatever. So I was going out for a run, and I was running down that hill that goes down to the stadium area where the Westchester Stadium is, and I got stung by a bee, and my finger swelled up like the size of a glenoid, and I just ran down to the Eagles to the facility where the trainers were, because they would just stay there, treating guys between practices. I said, "Oh, I just got stung by a bee." He's like, "Well, let's see what we could do about that." And he gets his little bag out, and he finds some powder, and he puts it on. He finds like this little paste. He rubs it on my finger. You'll be fine. And I swear to God, half an hour later, the swelling was gone. The guy was
his stuff.
The guy was like a witch doctor. He was the best.
I do want to update.
He wouldn't tell me what he put on. Never told me.
Before we move on,
yeah.
Jordan Davis eligible this week against the Titans. Avonte Maddox eligible to return week 14. So next week at the Giants, and then Dallas Goedert eligible week 15 in Chicago. So no guarantee about those guys, but that's when they are eligible to return. And
for people who ask, the reason you don't see them on the injury report, like Jordan Davis is not on the injury report, because he's not on the roster. Yeah. He's still on IR.
Yeah. It's only for the guys on the 53-man roster. So on Wednesday, they had one guy who didn't participate in practice, and that was C.J. Gardner-Johnson, because he's not on IR. Could happen, but hasn't happened yet.
Right.
All right. Move on?
Yes.
A.J. Brown.
Weird season.
Still a very good season. Weird last month.
Yeah.
And now he's got a chance to play his former team.
Yeah. And I think part of it is just with Dallas out, I think he's tried to do a little too much. I think there's a couple plays. I think both fumbles are the result of trying to do too much. Obviously, the ball he bobbled that turned into an interception against Washington was uncharacteristic of him.
That was just a weird play, because it went through one pair of arms, hit him, and then was.
But it was still uncharacteristic. You know how he says, "If I ain't catching it, nobody's catching it." Mm-hmm. Well, that didn't apply. I think he's a hell of a player. He averaged 94 yards a game the first 7 weeks. I think he's at 47 the last 4 weeks. So he's a great player. He's a great receiver. He's just got to get going again. I mean, he's easier to defend when you don't have Dallas Goedert. That's just the reality. But I like the way he bounced back on Sunday. He had a big 19-yard catch after the fumble, and then the touchdown,
which was a nice play, an underrated nice play. We haven't probally talked about it.
Yeah,
he did a good job of keeping his feet in.
He did. So did Josiah Scott, by the way, on an interception. Mm-hmm. I think he's gonna bounce back. He and Jalen have a real symbiotic connection. But they need him. I mean, they need him to be more than a 45-yard guy.
Yeah.
They need the big plays back, and they need him to be more careful with the ball. I mean, because both those fumbles.
The fumbles can't happen.
They led to points. He only fumbled once in his career.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of risk reward involved because he is such a big guy. He runs hard. But if you're going to do that, you got to tuck the ball.
Yeah.
You can't be loose with it. And now that I think I mentioned this on the previous pod, but teams know now, so you would think that they're going to go into a game and say, all right, hold him up. I'll come in and punch it.
Yeah.
So he's got to be aware of that. But I still like the mentality. I love the mentality to fight for the yards because he's big enough he can get them.
Right.
Some receivers are like, go down, but he can break free if he's got one tackler on him. He has a chance to break free and keep running. So I'm okay with the strategy, but you got to clean up the technique.
It's crazy that they've had 3 wide receiver fumbles in the last 3 games. You don't see that.
Kind of rare.
Yeah, you don't see that very often. Miles hasn't fumbled all year, which is usually it's a running back's that fumble. So that's interesting. But, yeah, I think he'll be fine.
And he's had some injuries. I mean, injury, he had an ankle injury that was lingering for a little while. And then last week he was dealing with that nasty stomach bug.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, he said he's got a lot of his strength back. He's starting to feel normal again. I think anyone who's ever gone through any kind of stomach bug knows that it takes a while just to, even when you're not sick anymore, just you've lost a lot of strength. It's sapped you, and it takes a while to get it back. But he should be up to speed this week. Yeah,
and they need him. They need him down the stretch, no doubt.
Yeah. He cares about this game too. I mean, I know he said all the right things. It has to. And I think that's true of any player when they play their former team, but especially in this case, it didn't end that great. He got traded because they weren't willing to pay him that big contract, and it bugged him.
Yeah, I do think you got to be careful with those. And Nick talked about this on Wednesday. You can't try to do too much. You can't try to look at it like, once the game starts, you got to forget that's your former team and they wronged you, whatever it is, and not try to, not try to be more than you are, or not try to make the play more than it is. And that's the risk. And he's such an emotional guy, you could see it kind of, all right, well, I got 18 yards. Let me try to get in the end zone here. But you know what? That's when you get into trouble. So, not saying don't try to get in the end zone, but if it's not there, don't force the issue. Mm-hmm. And I think he'll be okay with that. But it's not easy. It's not easy. Whether it's your former newspaper, your former team, whatever it is, you want to beat them. And the way free agency is now, every week it's somebody's former team.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys.
I know Nick made that point, but this one's a little different.
A little bit.
It's like he tried to say, I'm telling him the same thing I told Zach Pascal. Well, yeah, Zach Pascal left as a free agent. A.J. Brown was a franchise player they didn't pay, and they traded because they weren't going to pay him.
I remember a quote, I think it was Raheem Mostert, who's been with 12 teams, and he was asked about playing his former team. He said, every week I'm playing my former team. So, yes, it's different for some guys, certainly.
And some guys find a way to funnel that energy better than others. Some guys, it's just human nature. Like some guys get up for it, but they can channel it and they can turn it into a positive, whereas other guys don't handle it as well. And we don't know how A.J. Brown's going to handle it.
Yeah.
And he's had emotion, he talked about in college, going home and playing in front of his hometown fans. He had a great game. So maybe that's an indication that he'll play well in this one, but you don't know. That was like a happy homecoming, whereas this is more of a, stick it to them kind of thing.
I remember when the Eagles had the big free agent exodus after, Buddy Ryan left and the entire team left. And 2 guys, Keith Byars and Keith Jackson, both signed with the Dolphins as free agents. The Dolphins came back to the vet to play the Eagles the next year. And in the locker room after the game, Byers and Keith Jackson were yelling. They're arguing with each other about who got booed more. So that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think it hurt AJ's feelings a little bit because he's on Twitter, probably more than he should be. But he saw some hate from Titans fans.
Oh yeah, a lot.
Who felt like he kind of turned his back on a team.
Yeah,
and I think that bothered him a little bit. And he knows it's a mix. I think some people not necessarily side with him, but understand why he had to be traded. And I think there's some that are like, no, man, you should have accepted an offer and stayed here. And
fans have to understand. I think most fans do understand it's a business, and players have to look. Careers are short. Your career could end next week.
And he talked about, he said he feels like he already won because he got that contract. That's, $100 million contract. He's right. That changes not just his life, but his family. That's generational wealth.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why you put in all the hours.
No doubt.
Yeah. Is Jalen Hurts the MVP?
I think, honestly, Tua is right now.
Really?
I do.
Interesting.
I think it's very close. I was looking at some of the candidates. I think Josh Jacobs has got to be in the mix. He's leading the league in scrimmage yards. He's got 1,500 scrimmage yards in 11 games. He's leading the league in scrimmage yards by 160 over Derrick Henry.
Yeah, tough when your team's not good. Yeah, I mean, if your team's not good, you really have to.
No, I'm just going through some of the. Tyreek Hill and Justin Jefferson both over 1,200 yards in 11 games.
Well, let me go through the top 5 in terms of odds.
Well, I was just gonna add Tua and Mahomes, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mahomes is the favorite right now, minus 160. Jalen Hurts right behind him. Well, not right behind him, but behind him at plus 350. Tua at plus 500, and then Josh Allen and Joe Burrow both plus 1,400. So the top 5, at least shortest odds, are all quarterbacks, which is the way it goes.
Tyreek Hill already has 87 catches and playing for a good team, 1,233 yards. Mm-hmm. The guy's averaging 112 yards a game, and Justin Jefferson is right there with a higher average, 15.
So the Tyreek thing is interesting because you can argue he hurts Tua's chances, but he helps Mahomes' chances.
Right. That's probably true. Yeah.
Mahomes is at the stage, though, where it's like he could kind of be the MVP every year.
Yeah.
You know? We've had other guys that have been like that, like, you know, Brady and Rodgers, and they kind of get it when there's no one else who's deserving. I think Jalen Hurts is very deserving, though. It's like, look at
Let me give you one more thing. Tyreek Hill's on pace for 134 catches and 1,905 yards. All right, well, let's look at Jalen and Tua.
Okay.
Obviously, former teammates. Tua's not running for as many yards, but, I mean, his passing numbers are insane. 19 touchdowns, 3 picks. They're 8-0 when he starts and finishes.
Okay.
All 3 losses were when he got hurt. 2,500 yards. So they've both thrown for about the same number of yards. Tua's at 70%. Jalen's at 67%. I mean, Tua's passer rating is 115.7. It's like that's in Nick Foles territory. It's one of the highest ever recorded. And throwing for 285 yards a game. So the passing numbers are unreal, and he hasn't lost. I think Jalen is right there. But I would just give the edge to Tua right now.
Really? I have Jalen above him because of just how much Jalen means to their offense, both as a passer and as a runner. And not even as a runner, but as a threat of being a runner. I mean, the Eagles are such a good running team, and a real big reason why is because of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know, you can make a case for Jalen. You can make a really good case for him.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I think it's probably going to go to Mahomes.
Probably.
But a lot of games left here. And if the Eagles finish with that 1 seed in the NFC and they lose 2 games all year, and Jalen's the reason why.
You know, it's interesting that the Dolphins play the 49ers this weekend, Sunday. That defense is insane. If Tua has a big game against them,
fair.
Take a look. They also play Buffalo in Buffalo in a couple weeks. So they have some tough games coming up. They play the Chargers, the Jets. Who knows what's going on there. But he's been so consistent, so steady. Yeah, and you can make the argument that, Jalen doesn't have a Tyreek Hill, but
he has an A.J. Brown. He has a Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
He has a Devontae Smith, and he has a great line. So it's not like I don't think that's
Yeah. Yeah. It's certainly an interesting conversation. I mean, I'm not sure how Mahomes, look, he's incredible, but he's thrown a lot of picks, hasn't he? Let me get his. He's thrown 8 interceptions, so he's thrown more than Jalen and Tua combined. Geno Smith is also having a hell of a year. He's not going to get MVP, but he's completing 73% of his passes.
Yeah, he started off with, you felt like, oh, maybe there's a chance, but these other guys are.
but he's maintained it. Yeah, but he's not. I mean, he's not in the top 5, but he's close.
I mean, Mahomes he's thrown for 3,600 yards and 29 touchdowns.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
In 11 games.
He's unbelievable. I mean, he's going to be the best ever when all's said and done, I think. Or he'll be right there with Rodgers and Brady. But do you have a top 5? How would you vote if you had top 5 vote?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think. Am I putting them in order?
Yeah, because I would go Tua, Jalen, Mahomes. I would go Tua, Jalen, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs or Justin Jefferson for that 5th spot.
Yeah, Jefferson would make it for me.
I mean, running backs never get, but I want to give.
I mean, a receiver's not going to get it either.
No,
it's a quarterback award.
And we're not even talking about defensive players.
Yeah.
They don't. I mean, Micah Parsons, you could make a case for. Not going to happen.
Not going to happen. Yeah, I think I'd go. Man, I'm really close to saying Jalen, but I'll give Mahomes a slight edge right now. But I think it's very close. Then Jalen, then Tua. Tyreek, Jefferson.
Okay. Yeah, their numbers are pretty similar.
And I think Tua and Tyreek kind of hurt each other when it comes to voting.
Yeah.
I don't think Tyreek's going to get a ton of votes. I think most people are just resigned to this being a quarterback award.
Yeah, probably. Man, Jalen Waddle's got almost 1,000 yards too.
He's really good.
No wonder Tua's numbers are so good.
Well, maybe that's why their numbers are so good.
Exactly. They don't run the ball a whole lot. Their leading rusher is Raheem Mostert.
Yeah.
He's only got like 500 yards. He's playing his former team this week. He actually is.
It is just fun, though, to watch this level of quarterback play.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so much fun in 2017.
Yeah.
Watching Carson do it, and it kind of get the same feeling.
Guy in Indy.
No, if we're talking about his MVP caliber season, we're calling him Carson Wentz. I'll put my foot down there.
Yeah, it's like when the Washington football team was called the Washington football team before they were the Commanders.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking up a stat and it went back to the Washington. I had to call the Washington football team the Boston football team because it was like 1920 and they were the Washington. And according to our style, I had to call them the Boston football team.
That's funny.
Yeah. I really wanted to get that published. I was proud of that.
Yeah, that's good.
So yeah, it's an interesting conversation though.
Yeah, and it is.
And I'm real curious. I think Jalen's got a lot of support nationally. Was it RG3 who came out in favor?
Yeah, and I am right. Like I almost think him and Mahomes are neck and neck. I really do. And it's winnable. That's the thing. It's not like I know even if Mahomes is ahead, it's not like some foregone conclusion that he's going to win it. I think it's very winnable for Hurts.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's the Nissan Thrill of the Drive event. So gift yourself what you really want this holiday season and shop your local Nissan store or visit nissanusa.com today. Just like the holidays, these offers won't last.
Opioid addiction is a national public health crisis. The Someone You Know podcast from the Independence Blue Cross Foundation offers inspiring stories that challenge stigma, offer hope, and humanize the disease of addiction. Download the new Season 3 of Someone You Know on all major podcast platforms. All right, Rube. This matchup is a fun one.
It is.
It's a really good
team.
They're a very good team. Tennessee Titans coming to town. I have my matchups in front of me. Do you want to just go through it?
Yeah.
Okay. Titans are 7-4. So the record not quite there. They've lost 2 of their last 4 games. 1 in overtime to the Chiefs, and then they lost last week to the Bengals 20-16. I think the thing on everyone's mind coming into this game is Derrick Henry, who's actually been kind of held to lower numbers than usual for him the last couple games against the Packers and then against the Bengals. But he is such a dynamic player, and it takes, I know this is such a coach speak thing, but it takes all 11 to stop him, or at least to slow him down.
Yeah, maybe 13 or 14.
You can do it if you can sneak another guy on there. Did you see the Seahawks play, by the way?
I didn't.
So there was an interception and one of their players ran off the sideline and started blocking.
I heard about it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Unreal.
Yeah. So what happens? Like they didn't throw a flag?
They didn't go throw a flag.
Does he get fined?
I hope so. You can't just run on the field.
Maybe he gets suspended for that, right?
I don't know.
Yeah. Derrick Henry's only averaging 4.2 per carry, which is lowest among all the backs in the top 10. It's below the league average. He catches the ball pretty well. Gosh, he's averaging 13 yards a catch. So he's already got a career high in receiving yards. I really was encouraged by the way they defended Jonathan Taylor after that first drive. Mm-hmm. You feel a lot better about their run defense with the two new additions, especially Linval Joseph. Just really stout, really solid. Obviously, having Jordan Davis back is big. But, I mean, they'll just keep running it.
That's the thing. Like, that average for him doesn't bother me as much because –
right, because he's going to get 25 carries.
Yeah, they just stick with it. They better be in their five-man front this like most of this game. Obviously, it's always important for them to get in the known pass. But against this guy, yeah. Because they'll give him 25, 30 carries.
Yeah.
Without blinking an eye. Yeah,
he's had games with 32, 30, 28, 28 carries.
It's insane. And he can handle it. And if he gets past the first level, then the Eagles are in trouble because then you've got just little guys trying to tackle him. And it's not, say what you want about some of those guys. No one is bringing down Derrick Henry by themselves. Whether it's, Reed Blankenship, who has that element to him, but his first career start, try to come down in the box and tackle Derrick Henry.
He's just so big. Was he 6'3", 240?
247, I think.
247.
That's what he's listed. Who knows?
Yeah, it's gonna. I just feel better about the matchup now than if they played him a month ago.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair, and I think it's obviously the five-man is the easiest way to try to stop it, but it might take more than that. We saw the Packers a few weeks ago. Really, they were going to stop him, and they slowed him down. But then Tannehill threw for like 330 and a few touchdowns.
Right.
That's the other danger. And Tannehill's pretty good in the play action game too.
They do a lot of play action, and they throw, like I said, they throw to Derrick Henry. He had 79 receiving yards Sunday. Mm-hmm. So if they can't get the run, and I think the Eagles are susceptible to running backs in the receiving game. Maybe not like last year, but I think you see a lot of throwing. If they can't get on track running it, they'll throw it to the back. Tannehill's pretty good. What do you think of him?
It's funny when the Eagles traded for AJ Brown, I went back to just watch a bunch of AJ. And that's actually what kind of stood out to me. I was like, Tannehill's not bad.
Not bad.
Yeah, he makes the throws he needs to. He allowed A.J. Brown to cook a little bit. He's not great.
He's not great. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's got one interception since week 3. Mm-hmm. That was in Green Bay at Lambeau 2 weeks ago. I don't think Derrick Henry can beat this team by himself. I don't think Ryan Tannehill can beat this team, but dangerous combination. When they have a good passing team and a good running team, they don't score a ton of points.
They don't need to.
But they control the ball and they play defense.
Yeah, it's just they are a tough team that just they muck it up. It's not going to be fun. Like the Eagles, it's just not going to be a fun game. It's a fun matchup.
Yeah.
But in terms of like the Eagles players, you know what you're in for playing the Titans. They're a nasty football team.
The points allowed since week 4, 17-17, 10-10, 20-10, 17-20.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chiefs scored 20 against them. The Broncos scored 10 against them. It might be their season high.
That was a good day for Russ.
It was. God, he can't play.
Shockingly bad.
Goodness. The Bills are the only team that really – they scored 41. But that was early in the season. That's a legit defense. This is going to be like a 17-16 game, I would think.
It has that feel. And so the next big matchup is the reverse of that, or the flip of that, is Eagles' run game against a very good run defense. They're not playing the Packers again. I mean, 363 is kind of out of the realm of possibility in this game, but it would help if you can run on this team.
Yeah, they might not even get 300 against this team. Yeah, and again, I think one thing we've seen Shane Steichen do is even if a team's top 5 in run defense, he'll do it. He'll stick with it, and he knows you can't throw every down, and especially with no Goddard. So I think they'll stick with the run. It's weird. The Eagles' running game is really weird because they haven't had a ton of long runs. I think Jalen's 42-yarder. It's like their longest run in 2 years.
Miles hasn't broken one.
He hasn't broken one, but he's got a 5.1 average, which is crazy. It just means he's going forward, moving the sticks. I'd like to see him stick with it, stick with the running game. And because otherwise, you keep throwing because you can't run the ball. Your defense is back out real quick.
That's the thing. You might just need to give your defense some breaks.
Yeah.
And you don't want a repeat of a few weeks ago when, your offense is on the field for 5 plays.
58 minutes. Time of possession, 58:01 to 159.
Yeah, you don't want your defense to get worn out. But this Titans defense, man, Jeffrey Simmons is a monster. He is so good. Danico Autry injured, and so Simmons is injured too. Neither of those guys practiced on Wednesday, so we'll see how they go through the week. I know Simmons has been dealing with an ankle injury, so it kind of seems like they get him ready for the week. But Danico Autry missed last week's game with that knee injury. He got hurt against the Packers a couple weeks ago. If he can't play, that's a big loss.
Yeah, I mean he's an annual 8 to 10 sack guy.
Yeah, and he's really good against the run.
And he was with Nick. Nick, how many times has Nick mentioned him this week? 4?
A lot of respect for him.
Yeah,
and Tart's good inside. They have good players, man. They have Bud Dupree outside. Might give Jordan Mailata some fits. It's a good defense. Now, if there's one area in that defense that you look at and think, all right, is their cornerbacks aren't great. They're good. Christian Fulton's a good young player. I think McCreary's okay. But I like that matchup for the Eagles. Yeah,
this might be a game where it might be the opposite of last week, where you see them throwing it more than they run it.
They might need to.
Said and done.
They might need to. And, McCreary's a little guy. He's 5'11", 190, short little arms. So,
short little arms.
Yeah, I remember being at the Senior Bowl last year, and that was a big talking point was how short his arms were. Kind of the build of a slot receiver they got playing outside, second-round pick. And I remember being at the Senior Bowl, he was supposed to be the best corner there. I don't think he was, at least from what I saw. But he was a good player and went in the second round for a reason. But if you get A.J. Brown on him, I like that matchup.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let A.J. kind of win with his size.
I'm glad Quez has gotten going these last few weeks. They need him. Mm-hmm. They need to be more than just AJ and Devontae while Goddard's out.
Yeah, and I think Elijah Molden's banged up too. They're a nickel. So that's something.
They have a really young secondary.
Very young secondary. Yeah, so the experience is there. It's a tough team, though. And my last matchup that I had listed here, Taylor Lewan out for the season. He's a good player, but he's missed a lot of time over the last few years. So he's out for the year. They have Dennis Daly giving up 6 sacks already. So it could be a Josh Sweat game.
He's due. He's got 1 sack since week 3.
More than that, right?
Maybe. They have the strip sack. They get Ben Jones back, right?
He has 2 sacks in the last 3 games. One against Washington, one against Green Bay.
All right, my bad. Yeah. I think he's played well. I think Sweat's played well. I mean, he's gotten pretty steady pressure.
Yeah.
So you'd like to see him have one of those 2.5 sack games.
Possible. Very possible. They could use it. Ben Jones, the Titans center, back in this game had a concussion. He is very good.
Really good.
Probably really, you look around, centers don't get a ton of love anyway, but
around here they do.
Around here they do. Not many other places, but very good player. He's been a very good player for a long time. I actually covered Ben Jones early in his career.
Really?
Down in Houston, yeah. Ben Jones actually beat out Brandon Brooks to be the starting right guard.
I remember you saying
they were rookies.
Yeah.
At the same year, and it was they ended up splitting time at right guard, and it was funny because Brandon was just obviously much better physically. And he was like, they want him to start at guard because they can see the ceiling. But Ben is like, he's like a football savant. He just gets it. And it was his readiness was, they got him on the field early as a guard when everyone knew eventually he was going to be a center. Fun guy. Very, very Southern guy with such a thick accent that when he got to his first camp, some of the other guys in the huddle couldn't understand him.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. But you understood
him. Well enough.
I was listening to my Darius Slay. My Slay interview from last week, and he talks so fast sometimes, and his voice gets so high. Like you have to listen like 10 times to actually like make out what the words are.
Yeah.
It's so funny. He just gets so excited and talks like speed talking. Yeah.
That's why they have the slowdown function on some recorders.
Yeah. I don't have that on my my app on my phone.
I had the slowdown on my recorder. I still use a digital recorder. Only a few guys I've ever had to use it for, Chip and Jonathan Joseph.
Really?
JJ, a fast talker.
Interesting. Chip was really fast.
Chip was very fast. Yeah.
Chip was, what a weird dude he was.
Still is
and
a
I'm
weird
sure
dude.
Still is.
Yeah.
Chip, when you asked Chip a question, he would make eye contact with you and his eyes wouldn't leave you. And he would answer the question, would take 4 minutes.
Mm-hmm. We were actually talking about that in the locker room yesterday for some reason.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And like you had to stare back, like, because what could you do?
So my move was I would pretend to take notes, so I'd have a break to look down. I can't deal with Chip staring through my soul like that.
Yeah, he was different.
Yeah, I try to maintain eye contact as much as I can.
Yeah, sometimes it's impossible when the answer goes on for 5.5 minutes, and it's Chip Kelly, and he's sticking his finger in his ear. Anyway, what else you got, Dave?
The last thing I want to talk about was Reed Blankenship and how we think he's going to play. Played fairly well. Well, I'll say very well, all things considered.
So. Yeah.
Gave up a play and had a penalty against him, but I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah, I think that probably won't be the last personal foul we see. He's a guy that kind of plays on the edge, and I like that. We knew he was physical. I mean, because we saw that in camp. I was just so impressed with just how calm he was in the situation. Here's an undrafted rookie. Yeah. Doesn't know a minute ago he's going to be in the game. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gets hurt, and he's in there, and he was just so, I guess, calm and together and comfortable. And the moment wasn't too big for him. He said he had prepared for it, and he was ready for it. And if you're ready, you don't get nervous. And he was prepared, man. He picked off A-Rod, first undrafted rookie ever to pick off A-Rod. I was really impressed with him. I knew he could hit. I knew he could tackle. But to make a break on that pass the way he did, and just to be as mentally engaged in the game as he was really impressive. Yeah.
And now he gets a full week of preparation. He gets all those starter reps.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, for a lot of the year, he hasn't even been running the Eagles defense. He's been running scout team, which is giving him good reps because he's going against all the good players the Eagles have on offense, but it's a lot on your plate. So now it gets, in a way, things are simplified. Now here's your role. You know, you're starting. You don't have to worry about coming in off the bench. Learn your role in this defense.
You also have more time to think about it, though. So we'll see how.
That's true.
We'll see how he responds. I think he'll be okay. It's really unusual to have and we talked about how he wasn't even a priority undrafted guy based on the salary, but you don't see guys like that have a big role on a playoff type team, on a top 3 defense.
Yeah. And safety. I remember at the trade deadline, we were looking at positions where it might make sense. And we were a little worried about the depth they had at safety.
Sure.
And I think that's probably part of the reason they're not a dime team, is because they don't really have someone they feel comfortable putting out there all the time. They use Kayvon a little bit. They began to use Reed the week before, but they don't really. That was a spot where I thought, man, they could use some safety help.
Like Andrew Adams.
We'll see. Yeah, Andrew Adams, or I mean, even like keeping Anthony Harris. Remember he was on the practice squad for a week?
Yeah.
That would help right now.
That was weird.
Yeah. Would you feel better with Anthony Harrison or Reed Blankenship?
No.
Okay.
I can't believe I'm saying that. Anthony Harris isn't terrible, but I don't know. I like the way he's such a physical presence.
I also
Anthony
wonder
Harris
if
isn't that.
Yeah, but like teams are going to go into games trying to target him. He has to be ready for that, and they've seen the aggressiveness now. He's an aggressive player, which is a good thing. I like the aggressiveness. Teams are going to try to exploit that.
Yeah, no question about it. Be interesting to see. And you mentioned Kayvon, and I did a piece today on Kayvon, who has played 9 snaps the last 3 weeks, and has made 2 pretty big third down plays. The one of McLaurin on 3rd and 10. We tackled him before the sticks, and then a pass break up in the end zone was a huge play with 1.5 minute 40 left Sunday. I give that kid credit. I mean, he's not the player I thought he'd be, but he's
me neither. I was wrong on Kayvon.
Yeah. He just hasn't developed the way you would have hoped. 4th round pick, but
I thought he was a steal.
Yeah,
when they drafted him.
Yeah, I did too. But Nick talks about be a star in whatever your role is, and he got demoted. I mean, he's a guy who started 6 games for this team. And
they tried. I mean, they tried to give him.
Oh yeah, gave him plenty of opportunities.
Got some injuries here and there.
Had a bad training camp. Didn't have a good training camp, but he's still on the team and he still prepares. And he has a lot of pride. And had a good talk with him. And he said, if I get 1 snap, I'm going to be ready for that snap. If I get 60, I'll be ready for him. But look, he's not a great player, but I like how he was ready when his number got called, and he came up big.
Yeah, Malcolm Jenkins. We talked about him on the last pod, and we both said, yeah, I mean, if you could get Malcolm Jenkins back, even for a small role, he would do that. He tweeted, "Everyone's asking if I'm coming back. Technically, the Saints still have the rights to my contract. I know Eagles fans love a comeback story, but don't think you'll get one this time. But I mean what I said."
Interesting. Yeah. I think the Saints would probably be like, yeah, we'll let you have his rights. Just give us that 1st round pick back.
Well, you can't trade deadline's over. Can't trade.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's fun to think about, but those kind of things don't really happen.
Yeah. I mean, if they didn't have his rights,
I would think about it.
I would definitely think about it. I mean, depending on how comfortable he would be with a very limited role, and he'd have to play special teams.
Yeah.
But he's always done that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. He'd be physically ready.
Yeah. I wouldn't worry about him.
No, me too.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else?
I do want to mention that the Eagles are they're wearing the cleats for a cause on Sunday. More than half the roster has these. They're really cool custom cleats that promote a cause, a charity, a foundation that they believe in. And then they auction off the cleats after the game and raise money for that charity. So it's a league-wide thing. A lot of the players picked the Eagles Autism Foundation, which does such great work. They've raised over $16 million over the years with the challenge. But it's a cool thing. And some of the cleats are really cool. And we have a story going up tomorrow that'll have photos of some of the really cool. It's sad. Like some of the coolest ones are Goddard's and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's.
Well, they'll be clean. If you buy those in an auction,
that's fair.
They won't be scuffed up.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good point. So yeah, it's a nice thing. The league doesn't give these players a whole lot of leeway to express themselves. But this is one way they can, and it's cool to see. Yeah.
And it is cool. Like going through the list, Nick brought it up too. It's like a way to learn about the players and what they care about.
Yeah. It's really cool. So,
all right,
look for that.
Cool. Well, if you like the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. Keep sending us your Spotify year-end Wrapped. We like seeing our podcast up there. It's very cool, and it's fun. Like I started to see them fly in, and they populate. It's fun to see. We like being up there at the top for you guys.
But only if we're at the very top.
All right. That's it for Eagle Eye, presented by Nissan. For Reuben, I'm Dave. We'll talk to you soon.